What's something you're so good at, you have to pretend you're not? Knowing English. In an ex-USSR country where even young people know foreign languages poorly, literally everyone will use you as their own personal Google Translate once they find out about your skill. I'm from the US. Spent a year in a village in Republic of Georgia. Host family's grandson spoke English. No one else in the family did. Every time he came over he became the de facto translator. Mario Kart. No one wants to play with you if they know they'll lose the whole time. I don't blame them. There's nothing fun about that, so I throw to keep the game engaging. Same with Super Smash Bros. There's always one guy who's a level or two above everyone else and everyone hates playing that guy. Certain parts of my job, I get paid hourly. If I prep as fast as possible then I'll be done and get sent home early so I won't make as much money. I always make it a reasonable speed. Basically my entire job. After several bosses all telling me I'm too important to promote and several yearly reports claim I'm just not ready, but if he stays one more year doing the same job, he might be. For the last 10 months I faked being semi-competent. Found out last month I'm getting promoted. That sucks, I hate that is even a thing. Do too good and no promotion. What bizarro world is this? Used to be Guitar Hero. I remember playing expert in front of some ladies, and instead of being impressed they were horrified. Never again. I know. When you're good at Guitar Hero people are impressed. When you're really good at Guitar Hero people are horrified. I can fix just about anything. That's not something you really want people to know or you end up fixing a $4 toaster for your friend's second cousin's old roommate. I bet you can't fix my life. Starting IVs in the hospital. Once someone figures out you are good, they stop trying and go find you to start all of their IVs. I can't run around all day and start IVs for people, but I love to start them for my own patients. Typing. My record is 156 WPM, and while typing out normal stuff I'm usually around 120. My job has me in front of a computer with a lot of people around me. My keyboard is very loud when I'm going at full speed, so I slow it down just so I don't annoy everyone. I remember anything someone tells me. It's embarrassing if I remember something from a long time ago that no one recalls. Remembering when people have wronged me. It was like 5 years ago. Get the frick over it, dude. I tell this to myself. Maybe consider talk therapy. It's a great resource to learning how to deal with things in a healthier way. When I was about 17-18, I was very good at remembering faces and names, but I had to pretend like I didn't remember them whenever someone didn't remember me. Otherwise it'd be awkward and I'd feel like a loser. Every now and again, I would get to talking with someone at a party, and they would drunkenly reveal that they knew who I was, so we'd essentially been pretending not to know each other to seem cool. Of course, we also pretended like we hadn't been doing that. Thank frick I'm not a teenager anymore. Smash Bros with my wife. I either play characters I'm not practiced in, or we play using handicaps on whoever won last. Came here to say this too. I don't game much and I'm definitely not the best out there at much, but I'm a Smash savant. I originally picked the Ice Climbers to play as because they were the character I was the worst at, but now they've become one of my best. First world problem galore for sure. Lying. I'm really good at it and I don't want to be, so I lie about being bad at lying. It works though. Everyone thinks I'm a horrible liar. Board games that involve strategy words. Sometimes it's best to lose so your friends' family keep wanting to play with you. Agreed. I've had this problem both at family gaming night and with a tabletop group I used to play with. Sometimes you've gotta lose on purpose to avoid all that passive aggressive salt. Managing my time. Sometimes I give myself an excuse that I'm super busy or didn't see something coming so that I don't have to go to X event. In truth, I'm good at managing time and can usually work in anything that's asked, but I manage my time so well so that I can have pockets of free time that I don't have to do anything. I like having free alone time sometimes. I'm good at remembering cars and plate numbers. If I see the car more than 2 times or been in it, I can recognize it anywhere. Some people think it's weird, so I have to pretend like I don't know what car they have. Fun fact, My parents tried to throw me a welcome back surprise party a couple months back, but the minute we turned into my street I immediately recognized all the cars, so that was an utter fail. My job. I'm paid the least in the team. Newcomers readily make plus 8k more than me and don't even last 2 years. I've been told to do more and you'll be given more spiel at least 4 times in the past 4 years. And it's bulls. I became far more proactive, getting involved in work etc and being interested. Then I was made head of a new project at a time when I had zero experience on the application I was to use. I got it done. I was marked down 2/5 on my mid-year review because it took longer than expected and I had a lot of help. No freaking crap. The documentation here is useless. So after that I basically just did the bare minimum until recently when I decided to go for the wage increase again. I did plenty of work new and old, developed new skills and scripts for us, fixed old and existing programs, a clear difference from a few years prior, got marked below what I expected since the marking had changed from 5 to 6. I got 3.5, straight down the middle, even with tons of evidence. 5 points of evidence for my write-ups, all 10 criteria were marked 3/6, absolute bollocks. So now I sit here, do my system checks in the morning and sit on Reddit all day unless asked to do something. Nothing more, nothing less. Try spending a little less time on Reddit and a little more on searching for a new job. Remembering stuff, unnecessary details, time and place and sometimes even the wording of sentences, sometimes of events years ago. People think you are a freak if you remember the smallest crap, even if you don't try. Not my fault that my brain remembers every freaking thing. And what is even worse, as I have this really good memory, it is sometimes hard to notice if I'm remembering something wrong, as I have usually the way better memory. This can lead towards situations where I appear to be an absolute dickhead, because my brain denies that it could have saved a false memory. I also remember stuff very well. For some reason I am super awesome at noticing where people would set things down. Later when they're like WTF I can't find blah blah, I always knew. Eventually people started thinking I was taking and moving things, so I stopped helping. But yeah, people do get weird when you remember all the things. I'm like, but why don't you remember? Secretarial work, typing quickly, formatting text work, tinkering with Ms. Word and Google Docs, organizing documents in folders, making tables, etc. My mom has always thought I'm messy because I'm kind of a slob in real life, but joke's on her. I'm super meticulous when it comes to academic work. Anecdotally, most people in academic work are completely different in their personal and professional spheres. Mimicking anybody's voice on the first try so that people don't think I'm actually an alien from the planet Zaguran here to spy on the human race for the good of Emperor Ziltoid. This is a marketable skill if you have any interest in stand-up, voiceovers, etc. Cycling. I'm not superb by any means, but if I go biking with anyone who isn't a serious cyclist I not only have to go super slow, but if I don't show that I've made any effort people get weirded out for some reason. They've done 10 miles as hard as they can and my HR hasn't really come up at all, but if I don't pick up the breathing a bit they think I'm an alien. Being observant, seeing, reading and memorizing things as I casually pass them with friends and having all the info available just like that, making everyone think I obsess over the one thing that comes up. I'm not actually so frugal that I study prices on restaurant menus. The numbers just stick very well short term, so I notice when the bill comes out wrong. I automatically mimic other people's dialects. I feel kinda rude and I work in retail so I have a lot of costumers. I also code switch almost subconsciously. I was raised the white kid in Memphis public schools and didn't even know that I didn't talk right until I moved to Florida. When I go back home, the accents just leap right back to the forefront. I spent a week in Ireland and was mimicking their brogue before we left for home. It's not great, but I can't help it. Predicting things and making decisions based off little information. I do it a lot. It's how I've passed most of my classes. People get really annoyed, especially when they know I didn't actually read the material but I make really good educated guesses. I also predict events in the future, based from just observing some people's behavior, but then people get creeped out. No, I'm not saying it's always perfect. I am wrong around 40% of the time, but it's always nice when I'm right. I'm a super recognizer. It is the extreme opposite of prosopagnosia. It is estimated that 1 to 2% of the population are super recognizers who can remember 80% or more of faces they've seen. Most people can only remember about 20% of faces. I've taken tests and remember 98% of faces I've seen before at times. I can match faces better than computer recognition systems in some circumstances. The science behind this is poorly understood but may be related to the fusiform face area part of the brain. I'm also really good at remembering people's names, places, dates. So whenever I meet someone I've met years ago briefly for just a few moments, I immediately recognize them, remember their name, and when and where we briefly met, which really throws them off, making them think I'm a crazy stalker or something. So most of the time I pretend I don't recognize them or remember who they are. With strangers, it's even worse. I live in Queens and take the subway to work. I see random people on the subway, on the platform, on the sidewalk walking to work from my station, and recognize them from the last time I saw them. A map in my head where I've seen them before. And every now and then I'll get into a conversation with a random person at a bar, or a friend of a friend I've never met and remember I saw them on the 7 train a few months back, and have to pretend I don't recognize them and know what borough and train stop they live off. Otherwise I'll end up really creeping them out. Tech stuff. Relatively compared to my family, my father is the worst. Too lazy to learn. Ever since the earliest generation of mobile phone he refused to learn the nook and cranny and ran to me whenever he wanted something other than the basic calls and texts. So when he got an Android last year I decided to not put up anymore. Whenever he wanted something like saving new number or something I just told him I was not familiar with the program. He wouldn't understand the term OS. If it's my idea, my father can't remember how to do anything on his PC, phone or tablet. If it's his idea, or something he decided to do without being prompted, he can figure it out all by himself in no time at all. It's very frustrating. Manipulating people. I've had a slew of bad relationships. I'm going into law. I was raised being taught how to act and read emotions. I'm really good at making people do what I want. At the same time I know it's really fricked up. Yeah, ideally with manipulating people you don't want them to know how good you are at it. I never forget faces. It's a weird thing when you go to a big university and you can recognize so many people you've never spoken to just from seeing them once or twice while going to class. Remembering stuff about my friends they don't, like what shirt they wore last time we met and so on. I pretend I don't remember weird stuff like that because I don't want to creep people out. I'm kinda good at memory stuff. Not photographic memory but still good enough to remember more stuff than the average person. But when it comes to numbers I never forget a thing. Like I'll remember an equation they put on an algebra test 3 years ago, or the exact pages we had to study for a history exam last November, etc. And when I was younger I got bullied because of that, in the sense that I was a dork etc. And many times people wouldn't hear me when this skill of mine came in handy so I stopped using it altogether. Kinda silly story but oh well. So, tell me an equation from your last algebra test, please. I remember way too many details about people. Like, if you told me your phone number once, I remember it for the rest of my life. I remember everybody's birthdays, anniversaries, what day of the week their kids were born. It creeps people out if I let on that I remember so many details about everyone I know. Once, I got really drunk and started telling people random information about themselves, and most of them thought it was really funny because they were also drunk, and kept asking me to tell them more. Then the next day, we were all like, what was that all about, so I haven't done that again. Same. I can work extremely quickly on multiple things and get them all done on time plus some. This isn't very good when you have to fill up 8 hours a day. It hasn't come up since I was a little kid, but I have an unbeatable system in the game Clue. I'm sure I'm not the only one who ever thought of it. But for some reason we played Clue a lot when I was a kid, and it got to the point that no one wanted to play, so I stopped using my system. I'm not good enough at anything important to pretend I'm not. If you point out the problem with a management decision before it is executed, you will be blamed when the decision fails. I've learned to just shut up and say everything sounds like a great idea. Speed reading. I can read really fast. If someone wants to show me something, I have to add a delay before replying to them, otherwise they don't think I read the thing they showed me. Detecting deception and reading people. It's a terrible curse, and I made it worse by studying sociology and psychology in my free time. You'd have to be extremely good at compartmentalizing, which healthy humans simply can't do well. You also learn a lot about people that they think no one knows. I have so many examples, both bad and good, about issues with this. Playing pool. Rather than being thought of as a pool shark, I let others win because it makes the games more fun for everyone. Drinking and not getting drunk. I drink as much as others. They are off and I still could drink more. Sometimes I pretended to be more drunk than I actually was because otherwise my friends would have forced me to drink even more. I'm really good at Scrabble and Boggle. I just love playing those games. But after beating the pants off a few of my husband's family members during a vacation one time, I started having some bad luck streaks here and there. But if I play with just my husband, it's no mercy. I have a really good memory, so there are times where I have to pretend someone hasn't told me a story before, or that I don't remember really dumb details about events from a long time ago, because it can weird people out. You are one of the few users I easily recognize on here cause of the dashes in your name and your interesting comments, and I absolutely remember you having a similar comment like this not too long ago. Thanks for making these threads interesting, by the way. Installing recessed lighting. I have all the cool tools to make it go pretty quick. I can do a room in about 2 hours and the bill is usually $700 for 4 lights and a dimmer. Sometimes people get a little upset, so I have to slow down or I'll clean and detail the room when I'm done. People never consider that the better you get at something, the faster you can do it. They think they should pay you less if it doesn't take much time. They forget they're not just paying you for your time but also for your knowledge and the thousands of dollars of tools you have. Figuring out what other people are thinking, mostly by reading their body language and picking up subtle clues by their choice of language. It's extremely helpful, but it seriously freaks some people out. Art. My sister isn't good at much, so my parents keep me quiet about my art because my sister's good at it too and they want to give her some attention. Not that I'm amazing at chess, but I did beat one of the state champions one year. The rest of my team lost. When someone is super cocky about chess, I'll intentionally lose to a few terrible players and then beat the cocky guy, just to frick with him. Sounds ridiculous, but I am an expert in wasting time. I am paid by the hour, and can do all my work in like 2 hours each day. I am an expert in making a 2-hour job become an 8-hour job. Others have tried, but they get caught and written up. My freaking job. I can do a week's worth of my work in a day, and all tangible metrics show my work is the winner of all tests we perform. But most of my week is trying to find stuff to do and look busy, and it's excruciating. So, I basically have to pretend I'm way less efficient than I actually am. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.